Good morning, class. Mr. Vanderkolk here. We're going to use my.sketchup.com. We're going to try and draw a wall stud. So here we go. We got our screen started. This is what it looks like when you load up your program. We're going to start by selecting our tool here on the left, the rectangle tool. And we're going to take it to the surface. We're going to click once with our mouse, and we're going to let go. We're going to drag to the size we want. If we look at the dimensions on the bottom right, it tells us how big that rectangle is. We're going to type in the size. So a wall stud is 1.5 by 3.5. And you can type 1.5 or you can type 1.5 by 3.5. There, we've typed it in. You can see the measurement down there. We now hit enter. Okay, and it's really, really small. So we can go to our zoom tools here. We can zoom in, or if you have a mouse, you can use the roller on your mouse to zoom in to where it needs to be. There it is. We're now going to use what's called our push-pull tool. So if we look on the left of our tools commands, there it is, push-pull. We select the surface we want to pull, and we can lift it up and down. And we're going to lift it up. We're going to pull it to 92 5/8. And that is the length of a wall stud inside most residential homes. This is known as a pre-cut stud. And the reason they make it 92 5/8 is because when we add a bottom plate or a 2x4 at the bottom and a top plate, a 2x4 at the top, and a double top plate, the total height of our wall then, including the bottom plates and top plates, is 8 foot 1 inch. And that allows us to put 1/2 inch drywall on the ceiling, plus our 8 feet worth of drywall on the walls, and it leaves a small gap at the bottom. Okay? And that's standard for all residential framing here in Ontario. So now we've got our wall stud. We're going to actually go to our paint bucket here. So it looks like a little pail with something coming out, and it's called paint. So we click on paint, and it brings up a bunch of materials. Now, sometimes we may have to go to this browse button to see what other materials are available. So click on that browse button. I'm going to cruise down to where it says wood. I'm going to select wood, and I'm going to pour that paint. I'm going to minimize that so it clears up my screen. I'm going to pour the paint into the surfaces of our 2x4. I'm going to rotate this around using our rotate tool because I need to paint it on all sides. I'm going to zoom to the top, or orbit to the top, I should say. There's the top. I'm going to paint onto the top of our stud, and I'm going to orbit to the bottom. I'm going to paint the bottom. And then I'm going to try and get us back to where we were looking at before. Okay, so there we have our wall stud, and in comparison to our person, it's about the same size. What we're going to do now is go to our select tool, and we're going to select all the parts that we have drawn. Okay, there I've highlighted all the parts, and now we're going to make it a component or group that, all those lines into one. So we press the letter G, and we're going to type in the word wall stud. And this is going to make all those parts into one component. Okay, it takes a bit. And now when I go to, say, move, I can click on a bottom point and I can move that entire wall stud. Or if I want to, I can do Control C, which copies the part. And then I press Control V and it places it again. And there I have now 2 wall studs. And I can do Control C, Control V again. And I can continue placing wall studs, okay, by using Control V. Okay. Now I'm just placing them down and there's no real order and spacing. We'll look at that at another option in the future as well. If I wanted to edit a component, I can then click on a component and it says Edit Component. And if I want to change something on just that individual component, I have that option. Okay, so that's how we draw our wall stud. I know it was pretty quick. Next little lesson we'll look at is maybe how to draw more parts of it. Good work. Try it yourselves.